Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Sacred Valley. But before we do, we just want to remind you to subscribe so you can see all our videos as they come out. We do top 10s, we do reviews, we do topics, we do skits, everything. Make sure to subscribe. Okay, Sacred Valley is designed by Jeffrey CCH and it is published by North Star Games.
Here in Iowa, we are pretty good at one thing, and that is corn farming.
Yes.
We know our corn, and we farm it good.
Yeah, maize.
Yeah, maize, exactly. That's what they call it here in this game, because this is all about the Incan Sacred Valley, where you are growing all kinds of crops, in maize/corn, in addition to other things as well. But it's kind of a shared field that you're all working with as you kind of vie for position. It's like an area control thing with a shared area. It's very cool. Let me show you how to play. All right, here's our setup for Sacred Valley. Here we have our personal player board. There's one for each color, and you can play up to 5 players, but you do need a minimum of 3 players. This is a 3 to 5 player game. Over here we have our market of crops that we're going to be buying. Over here we have kind of our special abilities and tiles that we're going to be buying. There's some different recipes that we can buy, things like that. We have a coin supply. Here's where the main action happens. This is our shared field that we're going to be working on when we're sowing our crops. You're going to start off with a little bit of money, and all of your money throughout the entire game is going to be hidden behind your little divider. I'm going to kind of put it off screen for now, but basically, behind it you store your money, and behind it you also see all your different action options. So those are kind of 2 things that your divider is there for, is to show your action options and to hide how much money you have, and therefore how many points you have as well. You may notice that our field is kind of terraced. We have the base floor, and we have the next level, and we have the top level. At the beginning of the game, when you're planting your crops, you can only either plant in the very, very front row or adjacent to something that's in the front row. So you can't really get to that second terrace level until you've built a couple things already. But then, if you want to build to that level there, we've got kind of a little lock there on top of it, basically saying you can't build here unless you pay some money. But remember, this is a shared field. So if you want to be the one who unlocks it, you need to pay some money. You're going to have to pay 1 coin in order to unlock that. However, there's a twist. You have to actually give that to someone else, and they also have to pay a coin in order to unlock that. Even if they don't want to, you choose who it goes to. So now from here on out, you'll be able to build on that next level. Similarly with the top level there, only this time it's 2 coins. If you're the one who chooses to unlock that, you have to pay 2 coins yourself, but then also you're going to choose someone else who also pays 2 coins, and then that's able to be unlocked. However, if they cannot pay the coins right then and there, they don't have the money for some reason, they still have to keep that little marker in front of them, and they cannot spend or make any other money unless they pay that off. Each character starts off with the ability to make one of their crops, and they start with 1 seed of that crop as well. So we're playing the chili peppers, so we have this red cube here showing that we have unlocked that recipe, as well as we start off with 1 chili seed. When it's our turn, what we can do is we have 4 options. The first one is easy, it's just simply plant. So we take one of our things here, we have to put it in the front row, or adjacent to something in the front row. In this case, our only choice is just put it in the front row. Anywhere we want. And now, based off the size of the field that we've just created, we're going to be able to move up on this harvest track. So we just placed 1 tile, so that's only 1 size. We're going to move our people up to the 1. So that's how you do a plant action. A harvest action is quite simply, you slide this back down to 0, and then take as many coins as your maple was on. In this case it was 3, so we'd take 3 coins here, and we'll put them behind our divider, or in this case just there on the table. The third option you have is to purchase things. We start with a little money, plus we just got a little bit more money from doing our harvest. What we can do is we can purchase more seeds. We have them over here for 1, 2, and 3 coins. We also have some vines. Vines are always available to us. They're kind of plucked randomly out of the bag. They're 2 coins apiece. Over here we have all kinds of special abilities that we can add onto our board. We can only hold 3 of them at a time. Some of them are worth points, some of them aren't. The prices are all on top of the tile itself to show you how much they're worth and how much they're going to cost you. And then across the bottom it tells you how many points they're worth. And in the middle it tells you what the special ability is. So for instance, this bottom one over here, normally we only have 3 storage spots, but there's kind of a grayed out area for 2 more. If we were to buy this, it only costs 1 coin. We'd place it there. And it says your warehouse now can hold 5 seeds, which is great. We would slide this down to refill these. The ones over here kind of at the top, those are the freshest ones, and those are going to cost a little bit extra. They're 1 coin extra a piece. So as soon as we unlock our second tier, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of 3 of these tiles, slide everything else down, but now instead of reloading from the 1 tile, we're going to reload from the 2 stack of tiles, which are a little bit more expensive and a little bit better as well. And similarly, once we've unlocked the 3rd row, that immediately gives us the access to the level 3 tiles. During our buy phase over here, we can buy whatever seeds we want, whatever we can store. Because we bought that technology, now we can store 5 seeds. We can't really afford that many, but at least we can grab a couple. We do want to buy some chili since that's our specialty. That's going to cost us 2 coins. So there's the 2. We bought that $1 upgrade with that, so we get rid of that. We've got 3 left. Let's see. Let's buy a corn. That's going to cost us 1 coin. Now, we currently don't have the ability to plant corn. However, you can always still buy crops even if you cannot plant them, because later on in the future, you might buy the ability to plant them. Over here, it shows 2, 3, and 5. Now, that is the cost to be able to upgrade your technology in order to plant those particular crops. So our first one is free, our first one that we own. The next one is 2. We've got 2 left. We've got a corn seed. Let's go ahead and grab one of our corn cubes over here to show that we've bought that technology. And now we can officially plant it on the board our next turn. These are going to slide down and replenish from the bag. They're just going to go at the top there. And we're ready for our next action. So far we've learned about plant, harvesting, and purchasing. Those are kind of the 3 main actions. There is a 4th action, however, and that is to work. If you ever are completely out of money, like the situation we're at right now, we just spent all of our money. We have none left. You can do an action called work, where you simply just take 1 coin. That's not really a power move by any means, but it is sometimes necessary in order to get you started so you can buy some new seeds and things like that. Alright, for our next turn, what we might do is we might plant again. This time let's plant a chili pepper. This time let's plant it next to this one over here. Because we just created a 2-sized field, one was there before, and we added to it, we get to move up to the 2 harvest block. Now if we were to do a harvest action, we'd slide back over again. This time we'd get 5 coins instead of just 3. So as you can see, it's very beneficial to kind of get bigger and bigger areas all linked together. That's where the vines come in, though. If your opponents are kind of really starting to block things off and add things all together, maybe you want to add a vine. A vine can be placed anywhere as long as it's adjacent to something else. And again, it's just going to block things off. It's not going to add on to anything. As far as the harvest, it's always going to be worth 2. If we were somehow able to plant over here, we would just simply move up twice. Even if there were 5 vines all together for some reason, which you probably wouldn't see very often, you'd still move up 2 for placing one of them. They're not really considered a crop, but you do get a little bit something for them. You might notice that we start with 2 llamas on the board, these 2 white llamas. We also have 2 gray llamas over here off to the side. Those are going to be special pieces that are going to stay on the board. Some of those special ability tiles might modify them and move them around a little bit and add them to the board. But basically what those do is they add to your section. So for instance, if this got moved over here to these chilies, now that section is worth 3 instead of just 2. We have a selection of meeples over here for our players. Basically, those don't really come into play. The only meeple that's really used is the meeple over here on our harvest track. Those are used kind of as a way to manipulate these tiles. So tiles might say things like, put a meeple on this tile. It's a special ability you can use 1 time. Put this meeple on the tile. As soon as you've used it, discard that meeple. Or whatever the case is, something like that. So they're not really meeples that are kind of roaming the board like in a normal game. They're used as more like counters in that case. There are even some tiles that say things like, put a meeple on the board at a spot of your choosing. You are the only person that can go there. So it kind of gives you a way to reserve an area on the board that you might really want in order to play a big play and connect a whole lot of things together. The game is going to end once the entire board is completely full, all the way up to the 3rd terrace, and completely filling that up. At that point, what's going to happen is, you're going to get one last harvest phase. There's any meeples who are still on the board, you either get to cash out, go down to 0, get however many coins there based off where they are. Then you're going to add up all your coins, as well as all of your tiles that you've bought. If they have any values at the very bottom of them, those are going to be worth points as well. You can add up those 2 sources of points. Whoever has the most points wins the game.
As Ryan probably showed you in the how-to, everybody starts with a character, and that character allows you to be able to plant one type of crop. There is one character I like to play with, and that's the potato guy. I don't know what's going on in the potato guy's life, but he is so happy. I call him the happy potato guy because I want to play the happy potato guy. I don't even care if potatoes are what's the majority of what's out there at the beginning of the game. I want him. He is so happy. He is so jolly. He has his life together. He knows what he wants. He has a life plan, and he is living it. You can tell because he's happy potato guy, and he's such a happy potato guy that when we're playing this game with our 11-year-old, guess who she wants to be? Happy potato guy. So we have to fight over the potato guy because we both want to be happy potato guy. But that's his name. Nobody else has a name. He's the only one that has a name, and it's happy potato guy. And that's who you're going to want to play with because he's very jolly.
Okay. Well, you're all fighting over happy potato guy. I'm thinking about the timing of this game.
You're actually playing the game.
Yeah. There's only a few actions you can really take. There's 4 listed, and only one of them doesn't really play into the game, except for at the very, very beginning, potentially, where you can get a coin. There's only 3 actions you can take, but it's all the timing of when you take them. Do you do a purchase action? Do you go out there? Do you harvest things? What's your timing? Where do you lay out things? I like the timing aspect of this and trying to figure out what's the best bang for your buck, maximizing your actions, because your action economy is really what determines this game and how well you're going to do. And blocking people out, things like that. But it's all about the timing. I think it's a really cool decision point.
There's these specialist tiles that you can buy, and they allow you to break the rules, use special abilities, kind of like, all these games when you can buy extra tiles. Now, the first game we played, we almost ignored these. Like, we didn't even think about them until, I don't know, the second half of the game. And I would encourage you to not do that. The subsequent plays we had, we kind of focused on making sure, like, everybody was buying these. We all had it completely maxed out. Multiple times people would buy something and they'd have to get rid of something because it not drastically, but it did change the gameplay, and it made it more enjoyable that you had these special abilities and that you were able to do that stuff. So I would just highly recommend not ignoring those like we did for our first game.
All right, so everyone starts off with one crop that they are good at, something that they can do.
Like potatoes.
Like Happy Potato Guy can do potatoes.
Potato Guy.
There's also someone who's in charge of corn, someone's in charge of whatever the other crops are. And I can't remember what they are. But the point is, you can buy access to being also able to do those things. Basically, you can go to a training course. If you were the corn guy and you want to learn about potatoes, you can pay.
Happy Potato Guy.
You can pay to be your own Happy Potato Guy.
Yeah.
And then that way you and that person are competing for the limited resources of potatoes. So I liked how you could kind of start with one thing and focus on that one thing, but eventually as the game goes on, you're going to kind of grow and be able to do more and more things. So your decision tree kind of opens up a little bit. You can do more things.
And you kind of need to. You can't just stay with that one. You definitely need to diversify with how things are populating the board.
Exactly. I will say, reading the rulebook, it was not super clear the first run through. I had to read the full rulebook cover to cover, then kind of stumble through the gameplay, and then I had to go back and read the rulebook again to pick up all the things that I had not gotten.
And it wasn't even a big rulebook.
It was.
We were on Board Game Geek in our first play trying to get just answers to really basic questions.
It was not laid out in a way that you could you could find what you needed when you needed it. And if it was buried in there deep. There wasn't a lot of information on it on BGG, so that wasn't helpful either. It was just one of those things where you had to read the whole thing, then play it, stumble through it, have a frustrating experience, and then read the rulebook again, and then you kind of get a chance to pick up on the things that you were like, now I'm looking for something very particular. I couldn't find it the first time through. Now I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to find it now to make sure my next gameplay goes smoother. And once we got going, then it was super smooth. It was super slick. Turns were going like that. Everyone knew what they were doing once I was able to reteach it. But that first run through, this was not a rulebook that I enjoyed reading. I had a really hard time with this one. And I read a lot of rulebooks. I know a good rulebook when I see one. This was not one.
And there was a lot of, not flavor text, but they were using a lot of words that are original.
Yeah, they were trying to make it very thematic within the Incan world. So they're using words that were Incan instead of using what we would call them in a normal setting of a game, like a tile, a spot on the board, whatever the case is. They were using flavor text. And that normally, I can get, I don't know. It is what it is.
It made it
more thematic, but it added to the fact that it was already a bad rulebook, one extra step on top of that I had to decipher.
Okay, with all of that said, though, I actually really enjoyed this game. I had fun with it. It was pretty simple. It wasn't a very crunchy game, but I still liked how quick it was. I liked playing it with our daughter. I really just enjoyed it. I had a good time with it once we knew what we were doing. I actually think that this game would be perfect to play with people who are just getting into the hobby. So not brand new gamers, but people who are just starting to explore what the board game hobby can offer them. I feel like this is a great game for that because
but you have to be able to teach them. Don't let them read from the rulebook.
No, you have to teach them.
They will never play a game again if this is the only rulebook they're familiar with.
That is probably true.
They will quit gaming entirely if this is the rulebook they learn from.
You do have to teach them, but because they can only take one action and because there's only 4 actions that you can take, but at the end of the game, you've accumulated all this money, the grid is completely full, you have all these tiles, you have a great sense of accomplishment, even though you only had to take 1 action per turn. So I feel like it's great to give this game to people, or play this game with people who are just getting into the hobby. I think it's like perfect for that.
I can see that because I think me as a more hobby gamer, I was a little frustrated that the choices I had were fairly linear. You know, you were just trying to, it was on autopilot essentially. If there's a cluster of things out there, you're going to place your thing next to that same cluster, and you're going to try to maximize the amount of points you get for the bigger sizes. And if you get blocked off, you're going to simply start another one on a different crop or make your own new section of potatoes again, or whatever the case is. So I felt like there wasn't a lot of impactful decisions to be made here. But it was very smooth. It was very chill. So it was not an aggressive game by any means. And I think for that reason, it is a great introductory game, as you were saying. So yeah, this is not a game that I'm going to be asking for, but it is super, super chill.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.